Hello, all of you fearless listeners. Welcome to Let Fear Bounce. This is Kim Langling, your host of the podcast that brings you inspiration and motivation each week. Join me as I chat with my awesome guests who share their triumphs, their failures, and how they have thrived despite it all. So get ready to be inspired and empowered and to let your own fears bounce. Now let's dive into this episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. This is Kim Langling, your host. Thank you very much for deciding to spend just a small part of your day with myself and my special guest today, Darshaun McAway. Now, I've been a guest on his podcast, and then I, in turn, after our chat, asked him to be on mine because this guy has all kinds of cool stuff going on in his life, and he's quite successful and has all kinds of things that he's accomplished. And I wanted to be able to have him on the show to share that with you folks. Darshaun, he is a multifaceted entrepreneur and author. He has been a prolific writer since 2007, creating a diverse range of books, and his passion for storytelling led to the development of two successful publishing companies, paving the way for many aspiring authors. And his books are available on major retail outlets, and they are making his work widely accessible to a broad audience worldwide, folks. Let's put it that way. Beyond his achievements in publishing, he has ventured into various business sectors. He's established thriving enterprises in clothing, home goods, hair products, and even condoms, showcasing his versatility and entrepreneurial spirit. And over the years, his business acumen has not only enabled him to grow his ventures, but also to successfully sell a few of the companies, demonstrating his strategic foresight and business prowess. Prowess. Now, how often do you get to use that word? Prowess. Darshaun, thank you so much for being my guest today, and welcome.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Now, you've got such a wide range of stuff that you've done and accomplished. Let me touch real quickly on the publishing company. Do you still have that?
Yes, I still have two publishing companies.
And what are their names for the folks to hear?
So the first publishing company is called DMAC Poetry Publishing House, and that's where most of the adult literature comes from. And then I have the second company, which is called babyauthors.com, and we just focus on children's literature.
Awesome. Wow, you go from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. I love talking to folks and about what they do. You also are the host of a podcast called the W.O.W podcast.
Yes.
I want to hear how that started. Actually, why? Why did you start that? And what does W.O.W stand for?
So WOW stands for Writers On Worldwide. And the reason I started it was because when I was trying to get my books out there, it was very expensive to get on like a talk show or a radio talk show and to promote your materials. A lot of people didn't want to do pay for play. They just said like, hey, it costs like $5,000. So I said, well, let me start my own podcast to promote my own books. And then if it gets enough momentum, I can tell other people, hey, come over to my podcast, talk about your book, because I was interested in knowing like all these authors, like, who are you guys? Like, I got this book and this is what I was doing for marketing. What do you do? And like, why did you start writing? Because, the reason I started writing was because I wanted to have a legacy left behind. I started realizing like at some point I'm gonna get older. Like, what have I done? And a lot of people wasn't necessarily pulling thoughts from me. So I started putting my thoughts into books. And that's how I started the podcast.
I like that. How you just described that.
Yeah.
You started putting your thoughts into books.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and then there is a saying, and I probably am going to butcher this, but if you can't find the right book to read, write it yourself.
See, and that's that. I love that theory because that's where my mind was. I couldn't find anything that I was interested in, but I had a lot of information that I wanted to give out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now you've obviously you're an entrepreneur. You have two publishing business, but you have other businesses or had other businesses as well. With one that you have literally just started out or just opened a brick and mortar business.
Yeah.
So share a little bit about that because that's pretty darned exciting.
So I have a underwear company called xxsmiles.com. It's a men's and women underwear brand. We may venture over to doing a couple of things for kids, but primarily it's for men and women. I started it about 2 years ago. I used to be an underwear model, and I got tired of modeling underwear for other companies. So behind the scenes, I realized like how much it costs to do underwear, how you do the colors and the shapes and the sizes. And I said, you know what, let me just give it a shot myself to figure out if I could do it. So I made the company for myself at first, and I would take pictures in my own underwear, and people would say, hey, where'd you get those from? And I would go, they're mine. And they were like, no, like, we know they're yours, but where did you get them from? I'm like, no, it's actually my underwear brand, you know. So that's how I started it. Again, it's been out for like 2 years. We have a brick and mortar store. September 1st, we're already open doing our thing. And that's how it started.
It was just almost kind of like the book thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
How
Yeah.
awesome. How
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
So what is it that drives you? Because you've done a lot of things, and you continue to do some pretty awesome things and growing. What is it that drives you? What was that spark that started you on this path?
I'm glad you asked, because when you talk about let fear bounce, what started me was the people who I grew up around. It could be family, friends, even some coworkers. Everybody was so intimidated on just living life. So I'll say, well, just give it a shot. I just want to give it a shot. And I personally don't believe in failure. It something does fail, yes. But am I a failure? No. So I just went for it. And every time I went for it, it's always going to be a lack of money, a lack of capital, a lack of support. But at the same time, if I don't give it a shot, how would I know how successful it's going to be? So I've always been that way. Now, granted, I did have fear because other people were putting fear into me. Well, if you don't have enough money, how are you going to start the business? You know, I had this conversation with my grandmother one time. She's still alive, by the way. She said to me, I was about 24 going on 25. And I was telling my grandma, I said, Granny, I need $250,000. So she said, well, how are you going to get it? I said, well, I don't know. She said, well, why don't you work a job and save up the money until you get 250,000? So I said, Granny, by the time I save it, it's going to be too late. I'm not going to be able to start the business. And then she realized what she was telling me. She was thinking like, oh, just save the money and then start it. But she didn't realize it takes a very long time to save up $250,000, especially if you don't have a $250,000 job.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
she didn't really get it until then. And then after that, after I broke it down to her, she just told me, you know what, go ahead and go for what you know and just never give up.
And speaking of your grandma, my grandmother and my mother, she's 81, different generation. They grew up in completely different times and looked at money differently.
Right.
And so, because I've been in the same spot where I've had family members saying, are you sure you want to do this? Are you going to be able to pay your bills? What are you thinking?
Right. Right.
And that, if you let it land, like you said, other people were trying to feed their personal fears into you.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that too, as myself on my end, I had to say, wait a minute, they're projecting their fears on me. I can't let that land. That's
Right.
part of let fear bounce,
Right.
my
Right.
mindset on that. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs in particular, probably have a bit of that in them. I've talked to a lot, and I'm sure you've met other people within your realm, of people that are saying that they've started something or they're trying to start something and they're getting feedback and pushback
Yeah.
that's kind of bringing them down or making them question their own self-worth.
Yeah.
So do you ever have those days like that, that might just creep back in every once in a while saying, oh man, you know what, I'm tired, can I still do this, should I do this, am I good enough to even keep doing this, is this going to work 5 years from now? Do you ever get those kind of thoughts rolling around in your head?
Oh, absolutely. Starting the brick and mortar store at this particular time in life is the most riskiest thing I could ever do. To have a physical location, not really knowing how it's going to sell, if the people who are actually physically going to the location are really going to like it. Yeah, it's a little bit of doubt in there, because I'm using my own money. I'm financing my own self. I'm taking money from other companies and pushing it to another company. And sometimes the numbers get in the way. and I don't always foresee it being positive. I look at the budget and I go, man, I got to go do this. So, and there's a lot of days to where I honestly just don't feel like doing anything, you know. And a lot of people really don't understand that when you start something for yourself, like the rest of the world, they're trying to believe in you in order to support you. So if you don't feel happy about it or very a positive outlook about it, it's going to come off, and everybody else is going to kind of basically treat it the way you're treating it. You know, well, if you don't care about it today, then why should I care about it? So yeah, those days they creep in there, but for the most part, I try to stay as positive as I can. But the one thing I notice about myself is that I'm just a human being. I'm just a man, and I'm just doing things to, you know, not just kill time, but to buy the time that I want so I can enjoy the things that I want to have.
There you go. Nicely said. I hope the listeners are picking that up, what you just said.
Right.
Yeah. Put in the time so you can, make time to enjoy what you have.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do? And because you're very busy, what is it that
Mhm.
you do just for you that keeps you going?
That's a good one. I don't really know. I just kind of just chill out. Okay, so I will say this. I don't go too many days without trying to figure out what else can I do. Like I'm always trying to put something on the stove and
Hmm.
let it simmer. Because I just so I've been let go from some jobs before, right? And I realized that there was no such thing for Darshaun as job security. So I that's the reason I started so many books and so many different companies. And even if they don't sell every day, at least I know that they're out there. The videos and the shorts, they're automatically running. So at some point, somebody's going to buy something at some point, So that's what I do. I just try to keep my mind going so I don't get too idle.
And I find I'm the same way. I'm not one that can just sit idle and do nothing. I'm
Yeah.
just not. Now, do I enjoy those moments in time where I can just sit and maybe just read for an hour? Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
do. Or I walk my dog every day, that's for my mental health, my to keep
Hmm.
me mentally healthy. Walk my dog. We walk for a mile and a half every morning, usually before 7 a.m., and that's how I start my day. How is it that you start your day on a positive note so you can, because you've got a busy brain, so
I
you can
do.
keep going and you still have the energy?
So when I wake up in the morning, so all my phones and laptops and stuff, they're like on the other side of my house. So when I wake up in the morning, I actually just kind of sit there for a moment and just kind of gather my thoughts. I'll start a prayer off with God, and then I'll slowly get up and just try to figure out, okay, how's my body feeling? Like, what is my body telling me this morning? Because I don't want to overdo it. So I do stretch a little bit, and then I'll just kind of sit back down and kind of just to say, okay, how am I going to approach the day? And then once I figure out, okay, this is how I feel, and I go with that mood from there. You know, and I've been doing that for the past maybe 8 years.
That's awesome. That's a great way to start the day.
Yeah.
It's a great way to start the day. What's your favorite cookie?
Oh, I like so this may seem strange, but butter toffee. I love butter toffee cookies
Those are
with that,
awesome.
yeah, with that hard caramel in there. I love those.
Yeah, those
That
are awesome.
toffee stuff.
Yeah, just a random question that popped in my head, so I thought I'd throw it out there.
No, it's totally fine.
And your favorite beverage? What would your favorite beverage be?
Oh, I love root beer. I love root beer.
Oh,
I don't know why, but I just love root beer. Favorite go-to drink ever.
I have A&W.
Yes, A&W.
Well, what else?
Right.
That's what I grew up with, A&W.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I don't know when the last time I had a root beer was.
Well, I had one yesterday. I was at Wendy's and I had a root beer.
Do you get root beer floats?
I haven't had a root beer float in a long time.
Me either.
Yeah.
See, now it's making me hanker one.
Right.
I got a hankering for a root beer float now. So what's next for you? You're doing so much. Do you have another book that's coming out, or no, do you have a relatively recent book, don't you?
So yes, I have really two of them. So I have Husband versus Boyfriend Duties. This book recently came out in February, and I
Okay.
have I have Double Standards, which is a two-book compilation of girlfriend versus wife duties and husband versus boyfriend duties. So that's the latest thing I have when it comes to the books. I do have a new hair care product called Hair Catcher. You can go to haircatcher.net. Basically, what it is you put over this sheet of paper that's kind of somewhat waterproof. And if you're cutting your hair in the bathroom or doing, just kind of fixing yourself up, instead of having the hair all over the place, it catches the hair and you just put it in the wrapper and throw it in the garbage. And, I'm just trying to reduce the hair cleanup.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I was just doing that the other day, and I'm like, this is such a pain in the butt
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
try, so you get a little tiny broom to make sure you get everything.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How awesome. So that's Hair Catcher.
Yeah. So haircatcher.net. I'm actually putting together a ebook to tell people how I started my businesses, uh, how
Oh,
I developed
awesome.
how I developed turnkey businesses. So these things kind of just work on their own.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So now see, I can see how your brain is you because you're so diverse
Yeah.
of what you're doing. You have a brick and mortar underwear store, and then you've got books and all different. I mean, it's a variety of books, folks. He doesn't write in just one genre. There's all kinds
Right.
of different topics that he writes in. You also, I noticed that there was a couple children's books.
Yes. Yes. So the one that's selling the most right now is Anaya's Adventures, and this is in hardback and paperback. So if you can go to any brick and mortar store in today's time, but if you go to babyauthors.com, you'll find all the series of Anaya's Adventures. So it's a 5-book children's series, and she just goes to these different places. Like she goes to the rainbow, she goes to space. We do these road trips. She went underwater to Atlantis, and things like that. So
Now, what sparked you to go that direction?
so I
Children's
have
books,
a
because that's so different. It's on the other end of the spectrum from your other books.
oh yeah, from the other books and also from the condoms. You say you're
Yeah.
supposed to use the condoms, not to have the kids, right? So the children's books, it got sparked when I had my daughter. When she was born, I was trying to figure out, okay, this is another person that I have to take care of. I'm only making this amount of money. What am I going to do to provide? Because I realized, like, okay, she's totally innocent. I expected her to come, but how do I provide for a little baby? And in that same time, I also realized that, you know what, I would love to start writing children's books because I want to share some stories with her. So my initial intake was to just go buy some children's books. And I was like, well, why don't I write something about her and how I feel and some of the things that I want to do? But that's how it sparked the children's book publishing company.
And that's something that as she's older, she'll be able to appreciate that daddy did that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So far, so good. She's in a little bit of appreciation now. She doesn't realize how popular she is, because we kind of kept her out of the limelight, but she's pretty popular.
Well, that's awesome.
Hmm.
And how cool and fun that she'll be able to, hey, these books, my dad wrote them,
Yeah,
because of me. I mean, that's pretty special. That's pretty
yeah.
special stuff right there.
It was a very special time. It was a very special time. We had a lot of fun. We created a whole bunch of merchandise. We were doing shower curtains, bed sheets, socks, shoes, purses, book bags, anything that I can think of. I was just trying to put it out there.
So when you're creating stuff like that and you're getting merchandise, how is it that you go about that? Shower curtains, socks, shoes, sheets, towels, whatever.
So I have a software, so I know how to design, right? So I really I consider myself a developer because I'm developing different things, but I have a software where you could put your logos on, cars, houses, uh, book bags. You can just do whatever. And then there are some companies out there that provide that service for you. So what I
Like
did was,
Printify and stuff like that.
well, I know about Printify, but I would say yes, something like a Printify. But what I was doing since I had my books inside of Walmart, I would go look at a product to find out who made it, and then I would contact them and say, "Hey, I have this company, I have this logo. Can I put my logo on some type of merchandise?" And they would say yes, and I would say, "Well, how much is the minimum?" And they would tell me what the minimum is, and I say, "Well, listen, let's do it. I want to see if I can sell it on my website," and we just go from there.
Interesting.
Hmm.
I bet a lot of people didn't know that you could do that.
And they don't. And I've been doing it for years, even down to the point where I had my own cologne. I just reached out to a cologne company and they said, yeah, we'll make some for you. The minimum order is like 100 bottles and you can sell it, however you want to.
So they create it for you with your brand and for you to sell. They don't sell it. They're just creating
No,
it.
they just create it. So a lot of times they'll have like, let's say, for example, the cologne. There are standard bottles that colognes come in. So they're kind of like license free, licensable, bottles. And you just put your own scent in it. Now, if they want to do a deal with you, they can. But if you just want to sell it on your own, you just do your own thing.
So you have to, I'm assuming you have to purchase their time and they're creating the scent for you.
No, I actually created the scent myself and I just give them the ingredients and they bottle it for me. Yeah, I know. I had a lot of time on my hands sometimes.
So I'm like, oh my God. I wouldn't even have thought that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Now that begs the question, how did you get your own scents?
So I was making a different concoction of different colognes throughout the years. And
With
I kind
what?
of
Like
made,
essential oils? You were just sitting there playing around with different smells?
yeah, essential oils. Yeah, because I look up, there's a standard scents that everybody has, which is like orange, lemon, patchouli, stuff like that. And I
Right.
just mixed a few things together and I came out with the scent. And now the hard part, excuse me, the hard part was telling them the percentage of what to put into the cologne. So sometimes it will come back smelling too strong or not strong enough.
Yeah, there'd be a little bit of a science involved
Yeah,
in that.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Hmm.
What was the name of the cologne?
Balance cologne.
Balance. I
Balance
like that.
cologne.
Is it
Yeah.
still out and about?
No, I sold the company. I know I sold the company and well, good thing for me, I can still compete. So I'm going to do another brand and come out with a different scent, so to speak.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, you'll have to keep us up to date on that new venture
definitely will do. Definitely will do.
because that just sounds darn fun.
It was a lot of fun. I had the company since 2018. I just sold it last year, so I was doing my thing for quite some time.
So you sold it to someone, so they're like another company approached you and said, "Hey, we want to buy this
So
cologne,"
so
or do they
so
buy the brand? What is it that they actually bought?
okay, so typically that's how it would work. A company would reach out to me and say, "Hey, we see you doing numbers. We want to buy this from you." But there's a website called Flipper.com. It's an auction website where you develop a company and you could sell it to people who are trying to start a business that's already developed. Yeah.
Gosh, you're just a wealth of knowledge that, random stuff I'd never thought of.
You see, that's why I got to put it in the books, so because so people can
Right.
know, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, your ebook. When are you going to finish that?
They'll be done in a couple weeks. They'll be done in a
Oh,
couple weeks.
awesome.
Yeah,
Let me know when that happens as well,
for sure.
so we can, help get the word out on that, because that would be, I mean, even though I'm assuming that you're going to have a diverse range of things in there, tips and strategies and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
you talk to so many authors. I'm an author, you're an author in that realm.
yeah,
It's not easy
right,
because you have to do everything.
right,
People think, oh, you wrote a book, how awesome. And it's like, well, you have no idea
right, right, right.
what it takes to get the book out into the world. So I wrote it, but that doesn't mean the world is going to buy it.
You're right, exactly.
you know
Yeah,
there are a lot of great authors out there. There's a lot of great books. There's also a lot of really not good authors out there. um because they just simply didn't know the right steps and how to do certain things. So
right,
I
right.
think an ebook that you're creating, I think, is needed, because I think it would probably cover a wide range of business type things, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What I do in those books, I show the absolute business plan on how I developed it and how you stick to the business plan. If you don't stick to your business plan, you, in my personal opinion, you won't be successful. That's the reason why they want you to have a business plan so you can stick to the plan. And if you stick to the plan, it will become successful.
And make sure, if you're bringing people into your tribe, make sure they're the right ones.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, have you ever had to like trim your tribe?
Oh yeah, so it sounds terrible, but I fire people all the time. Well, I let
Well,
them
you
go.
have to sometimes.
Yeah, I let them go, but I let them go in a nice and respectful way. But I hire people on as freelancers. I love to pay people, but at the same time, I don't like to have anybody just locked in under my company because they just have family issues. They want to go spend time doing different things. So I just try to find somebody who I can delegate the work to, and they just get it done.
So freelancer, what type of freelancers?
Any type of freelancer. So sometimes I have freelancer proofreaders, freelance editors, freelance illustrators, freelance project managers. So just anything, somebody who doesn't want to be locked in full time. I just go to like a freelance website and I just look through people's bio and see
Hmm.
what their description is, and I'll hire them for a little bit.
I use a couple freelancers as well
Yeah,
to help with certain things, like towards the end of getting my book together. Because
right.
there's a lot of things I don't really know how to do, and I don't feel like learning how to do it.
Me, yeah, me too. Me too. I agree.
And if there's someone out there that does that and that's their thing, then you know what? Let them do their thing because they do it
Right.
much better than I could.
Exactly.
And they can get it done 3 to 4 times quicker than I could.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've learned.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. All right. This has been an incredibly interesting conversation because you do so much. And
Yeah.
I am sure if we picked one topic and delved into it, it would be filled with all kinds of little tips and tricks
Oh,
that people
absolutely.
could fill their toolboxes with. So I would love to have you back on sometime
Okay.
and dive into a few things because I was
Okay.
taking notes as I always do when I have a guest. I'm always taking notes. But yeah, I want to dive into a few things. Maybe in a few months or early next year, we can have you back on and well see how your new ebooks are doing and your brick and mortar store, but also
Right.
to dig into a little bit of running a business, being an entrepreneur.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I'm definitely down for it.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I ask all of my guests if they would please toss out a nugget of hope to the listeners. So, what would your nugget of hope today be?
My nugget of hope for today would be it seems like a downer a little bit, but it's not a downer. At some point, your life will come to an end. So why not go ahead and try everything that you want to do?
That's not a downer. It's just reality. No, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
And I get a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for that little
You're
nugget of
welcome.
hope and for your time today. I enjoyed this conversation tremendously. So, thank you once again for being my guest today.
Well, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
And everybody out there listening, I want to thank you for spending just a small part of your day with myself and Darshaun today. And I hope that you grabbed onto that nugget that he tossed out and you can carry it with you. So thank you once again. This is your host, Kim Langling of Let Fear Bounce. Everybody be well, stay well, and be blessed. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. I do realize that your time is precious, and I appreciate that you've decided to spend just a small part of your day with myself and my guest. I hope that you found inspiration and motivation tucked into this conversation today. And remember, every triumph and failure is a step towards thriving. So stay fearless, stay inspired, and join me each week with more inspiration from amazing guests from all over the world. Until then, stay fearless, my friends, and let fear bounce.